Welcome. I am Michael Santos, and I operate a podcast. It's called Earning Freedom with Michael Santos. It's available on iTunes. And if you have been indicted, I really encourage you to listen to that podcast because it will provide an awful lot of free information about other individuals who have been indicted and what they have gone through. And you can learn an awful lot from that process. Today, I'm going to be giving you a webinar because if you have been indicted, we can help. And when I say we, I'm talking about myself and my partner, Justin Paperny. We operate a number of different websites where we offer products and services to help individuals. I'll be getting into that through this journey because if you have been indicted, we absolutely can help you, and we want to help you. We want to help you make the best possible outcome. And so whether it's you or you know somebody who has been indicted, please share this presentation because this presentation will provide an abundance of insight and information that you can use or that individual can use to begin sowing seeds for the best possible outcome. We are committed to providing that information, and you will find that out through this webinar. Now, let me give you a little background. A little bit later in the webinar, I will be giving you much more insight or depth of information on who I am. Right now, just to get started, I want you to know my name is Michael Santos. I am a guy who made some bad decisions when I was 20 years old. In fact, I started making bad decisions much earlier than that. But at 20, I started really breaking the law. And as a consequence of that, I was arrested when I was 23 years old. And when I was 23 years old, I was sentenced to 45 years in federal prison. Under the laws that existed at that time, I had to serve 26 years. Laws have since changed, so there's not as much good time available right now. But I concluded every day of my sentence, and I served that time in prisons of every security level. So there's nothing about that system that I don't know after having gone through 9,500 days in it. But much more important than just serving the time is that I had incomparable successes in every institution where I was held. And I'll provide, again, that insight a little bit later when I provide the biography of this webinar. But right now, I want to just kind of start and get some house cleaning done by giving you some suggestions that I'd love for you to be able to open this up to a wide screen so that you can really take in the information that I'm trying to share. I would like it if you thought about removing other screens so that you don't get distracted during this really important information. Turn off your phones, close the door, and just focus, because this is really, if you've been indicted, this is a serious time for you to begin considering what you can be doing to position yourself for success. I encourage you to take out your pen and paper and take some notes. But of course, all you need to do is send me an email or my partner an email, Justin Paperny, and we will download this slideshow for you so you'll have everything here. And of course, it's free. You can watch this webinar over and over again if you find value in the information that we're providing. Specific points that we want you to have a takeaway is that, number one, you recognize this is the most important time of your life if you've been indicted. It goes far beyond the stage of guilt and innocence, far beyond the stages of sentencing and the prison experience. This is the type of situation that has lasting implications, and it's our job to provide that information. You've got to make the determination of whether you want to invest the time, the energy, and the resources to prepare yourself in the best possible way. We give away more information than we sell, but it's so crucial. This is such an important time that I want you to hear it directly from me. I want to earn your trust and your credibility. If you're going to spend this time with me, forgive me a little bit. I've got terrible allergies right now, which is why my voice is a little bit hoarse and why I keep scratching my nose. But I want you to know the agenda of this webinar. This webinar is going to go about 60, 65, 70 minutes, depending as I go. As I start telling more anecdotes, I can become a little bit more animated, and it can go a little bit longer. I'm going to start by giving you some information on my background, on why I want to earn your trust and prove worthy of the time that you're giving me and you're sharing with me. I'm authentic. I'm 100% transparent. And there's nothing you can't ask me. If we should choose to work together, you will find that out about me. I will encourage you to do your due diligence. You'll learn more as I get into the background section. Then I'll follow in by providing you with some very specific strategies. You'll get that also from my background. But those strategies that work for me, they can work for you. I'm so convinced of it that I wanted to take the time to prepare this webinar. We'll also be providing you with some case studies, which are some specific examples of other individuals who've gone through the criminal justice system. I'm going to tell you what I learned from them, what they learned from me, and why you should be able to really use this to your advantage as you're really trying to navigate your way through these very difficult times. Our objective, we really have a very simple objective in providing this webinar, and that is to show how and why our services can prepare you for success. I want you to get value out of this. I want you to understand this is a path. This is a project that I have created out of a deep sense of commitment and responsibility, because when you go through 9,500 days in prison and you've seen all the things that I have seen, and you've heard all of the stories of people in prison who wish that they would have had more information before they walked in, you derive a sense of responsibility. This is, I want to help. I want to help people make better decisions so they can get back to their families, they can restore their confidence, they can stop feeling like a marionette puppet with other people pulling the strings of their life. So I'll try to provide you with some actionable takeaways that you can use to position yourself for early release, takeaways you can use to position yourself for an upcoming sentencing hearing in the event that you do have a sentencing hearing, takeaways that you can use in the event that you need to position yourself for the best possible prison designation, takeaways that you can use in the event that you've got to position yourself for earliest eligibility for community confinement, whether that's a halfway house, whether that's a split type of a sentence, whether that's home confinement, whether, whatever the case is. I want you to understand what you can be doing today to begin positioning yourself for that process. And we provide the products and services that will help you not only understand not only how we got through it, but how other people got through it and how you can get through it. We want you to understand what you can be doing to begin sowing seeds for a higher level of liberty when supervised release comes your way on the other end of this journey. And most importantly, I want you to have a successful career when all this is over. But in order to provide you with all that information, I really have to earn your trust. I really have to earn your belief in me that I am a credible guide, and I want you to know everything about me. So I'll start off by going about the next 10, 15 minutes or so, giving you some insight into my background. I was a guy that in the early 1980s, when I was 20 years old, I saw this movie. Some of you guys may know it. You're recognizing just this character on the screen, Al Pacino playing the character of Tony Montana in the movie Scarface. When I saw that movie, I was 20 years old, and I just thought it'd be a lot of fun to move to Miami, begin trafficking in cocaine. There was no violence or weapons involved in my case, but it was a serious case that exposed me to some serious problems. And not knowing better, I made a lot of really, really, really bad decisions, including when I was eventually arrested on August the 11th of 1987. I was 23 years old. I had to hire a lawyer. I hope that you have a better lawyer than I had. I spent a lot of money on my lawyer, but basically he was telling me everything that I wanted to hear, anything that would help him make the sale. And for him, the sale really involved separating me from all of the ill-gotten gains that I had earned as a cocaine trafficker. So I spent an awful lot of money, got a lot of bad advice, and as a consequence of that advice, I made every possible bad decision that a guy could make when I was going through the criminal justice system. That resulted in my having a jury of 12 convict me of every count for which I was charged. I committed perjury on the stand and did not endear myself to the prosecutor or the judge or prison administrators. And as a consequence of those bad decisions, I ended up having a much more difficult sanction than otherwise could have been the case. But during that awkward time, between the day that I was convicted and the time that I was sentenced, fortunately, I stopped listening to my lawyer and started asking God for some strength to get me through this journey. And through those prayers, I was led to a source of inspiration for me. I had many sources of inspiration. Socrates was one of them. The first, I would say, I identified with Socrates because, like me, he was locked inside of a jail cell. He was waiting for his death sentence to be carried out. But it was the way that Socrates responded to that death sentence when he had an opportunity to take an easy way out that he really just changed my life. And later, I learned from a number of other masterminds like Socrates. And in fact, we wrote a course on Masterminds that are the lessons that I learned from great people like Socrates and Viktor Frankl and Nelson Mandela and so many others, Martin Luther King, so many business leaders, Steve Jobs, Jack Welch, Bill Gates, and all of those gave me a lot of insight that I could use in navigating my way through the challenges that are ahead, just as you can use in learning from leaders. They say that gold is tested through the fire of adversity. And if you've been indicted, you are in adversity right now, and it's time to be tested. It's time to think, how are you going to navigate your way to get through this and get back to your family and restore that strength and dignity and confidence that you need to begin to resume your life as a successful individual you were meant to be. So when you're doing that, you got to start off by thinking about the stakeholders in this system. Think about that judge, okay? Who is he? What did he do? Most likely he was a former prosecutor. Most likely he is going to be looking at you through some very cynical lenses. Understand it, own it, live in the world as it exists, not as you want it to be, and you'll begin positioning yourself for a better outcome. Think about that prosecutor. How is that prosecutor looking at you? Is he looking at you as an individual, as a soccer coach, as a football coach, a father, a husband, a business leader, or is he just looking at you for the charge? Okay? To the extent that you can understand what that prosecutor's objective is it really justice or is it vengeance? Is that prosecutor ambitious? Does he one day want to become a federal judge, or does he want to become a partner at Proskauer Rose or Skadden Arps or Cromwell and Sullivan or one of the elite law firms that can give him $1 million signing bonus? If he does, then consider who you are when you look in the mirror. Don't see yourself, but put a big trophy on your head, because that's what you are. I could look up my prosecutor right now. It was 30 years ago, and she still has me on her resume I think she's at Davis Travain or one of these big law firms in Seattle. And she's got it right on her resume still that she was the prosecutor who convicted Michael Santos. So, understand that you are a trophy, and this is not about justice, my friends. If you've been indicted, it's about a conviction. So to the extent that you understand that, you can begin positioning yourself for what you're going to do about it. Okay, understand that you're going to encounter a probation officer, and what's that probation officer going to do? Is he going to look at you as a human being, or is he going to be taking everything that the prosecutor said and basically regurgitating that in another form? Or are you going to have the ability to influence that probation officer? Think about those stakeholders. Think about the prison system, because the prison system and the people who run it are going to have an enormous amount of control over your life. And to the extent you understand how that system operates, you can begin positioning yourself for the best possible experience as you navigate your way back to the best possible life that's going to exist for you when you get out. And I can assure you, it can be a phenomenal life, but it's not going to happen by accident. It's going to happen because of the decisions that you start making today. They say that the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago. Second best time is today. The best time to avoid problems with the criminal justice system is a long time ago. If you're watching this video, there's a good chance that you've got those challenges, and I want you to know how and why we can help you. I can tell you that what I learned from those masterminds that I studied, Socrates, Mandela, Viktor Frankl, Nelson Mandela, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, it didn't matter which one. They all told me to begin thinking about the best possible experience on the other side of this journey. If I could visualize it, okay, then I could create a plan, then I could execute that plan every single day. And so what worked for me was thinking about those avatars, thinking about those people I would encounter at some point in the future, and figuring out what can I do to prove worthy of their trust, their respect, their support. And that carried me through every stage of my journey. I want to help you begin thinking about that today. Not only thinking about those avatars on the other side of the journey, but let's think about that probation officer and that judge, and what can we do today to begin influencing the best possible outcome as they determine your life. What would they expect? In my case, I knew that I made these decisions after the 45-year sentence was slammed down on me. But I knew that if I was going to try and connect with leaders, with people like you, just good people and I wanted you to see me as something other than that coke trafficker when I was 20 years old, I'd have to educate myself. And that became a guiding principle as I went through this journey. I would also have to think about contributing to society in some type of meaningful measurable way. So that became a second principle in my approach as I embarked upon this journey through prison. And I also had to think about building a support network, because if I could get other people to believe in me, perhaps I would make it easier for people like you to believe in me. I needed to be authentic, transparent, 100% committed to this effort of success. And that's what I did all the way through my journey, through each of the 9,500 days that I served. I got my education while I was in prison. Within a couple of years, I got my undergraduate degree from Mercer University. In 1995, I got my master's degree from Hofstra University. A couple of years after that, I was enrolled in a PhD program at the University of Connecticut until I encountered some resistance from the Bureau of Prisons, and I had to pivot, shift focus. Not a problem. I told you that contribution was another prong of my approach, and these are some of the books that I wrote while I was incarcerated. Those books, Inside is a very graphic look at the federal prison system. Prison, my 8,344th day, is a snapshot of a typical day for me during my 23rd year, so that I could show the discipline and the energy that it takes to really reject the negativity and focus on success and empower myself. And Earning Freedom is a much longer version of my entire journey from the day of my arrest until August the 13th of 2012, when my wife picked me up outside of the federal prison in Atwater and drove me to the San Francisco halfway house so I could serve my final year in prison. I still have to write another book about what it's like to return to society after 26 years in prison. But there was a lot of support I got while I was inside. You can see that by watching a PBS NewsHour profile of me. I have links to it available on my website at michaelsantos.com or prisonprofessor.com if you'd care to watch. If I can figure out how to do it on YouTube, I will put a link directly into this webinar. You could also watch a video of NBC did on me on Bay Area Proud in San Francisco soon after my release from prison. Or you could look at a number of periodicals with profiles about my journey or articles that I wrote. I'm a regular contributor to the Huffington Post. I've contributed many articles to Business Insider, to Forbes. And you could look at those articles and you could determine whether we have the credibility to guide you as you're going through these very difficult, challenging times, these times that can rip apart the fabric of an individual's life. I can tell you that wasn't the case for me, and it didn't happen by accident. While I was incarcerated, not only did I build a very successful journey for myself, but I married the love of my life while I was incarcerated. That's my wife, Carol, as she's earning her master's degree from the University of San Francisco in the nursing program. We built our marriage while I was in prison and continued building that marriage upon my release. I ran a number of businesses while I was incarcerated, and I can explain to you exactly how I did that, what I did. You don't have to take my word for it. You can Google my name. You could look on Amazon on my author page at Michael G. Santos and see all the books that I wrote. It was through those books that I earned a living to support my wife and put her through school, or provide her the resources so that she could embark upon her journey through school and become a nurse. I emerged with prison with sufficient resources in the bank that I could start my life after 26 years of being locked up. And, that doesn't happen by accident. It happens through a strategic, deliberate course of action. And that's really what I'm striving to teach you. 3 weeks after concluding my obligation to the Bureau of Prisons on August the 12th, 2013, I became an adjunct professor at San Francisco State University. You can look at my student reviews on ratemyprofessor.com. Just type in Michael Santos and you'll see how the students rated me. You can see them on my website. You can see that I'm authentic. I came out of prison. I began investing in real estate. That house on the left, I bought as a vacant lot, and with a developer partnered and built that home. That home there in the middle is my first rental property. The one on the right is the second rental property I purchased down here in Southern California. And I did all of that before I concluded 2 years after being released from 26 years in prison. In fact, I teach other programs on how these strategies that guided me through prison have allowed me to become successful financially after only 2 years of liberty, because I want other people to learn from that as well. If I could become successful after 26 years in prison, just think what you can do. And that's generally what I'm always trying to teach others. But that's not typical. I understand that's not typical. Most people who go through the prison system really begin a parade of horribles follows for them, where they have struggle after struggle after struggle. So success is not an accident. It was not an accident for you in building your business or whatever it was that you were doing prior to getting that bullseye on your forehead by some ambitious federal prosecutor. And it's not going to be an accident if you emerge successfully. So I really encourage you to invest the time, the energy, the resources in knowing the challenges that you're going to face when you come back to society, how banks are going to respond to you, how employers are going to respond to you, how you're going to have to deal with issues that may include foreclosure or bad credit or other types of challenges that make it very difficult to gain traction. One of the biggest is maintaining that support network while you're inside. When somebody is locked up, out of sight, out of mind, they can be ripped apart from their families. They can lose support from people that they trusted and believed in and knew. And it's just because there's so much conflict that it doesn't only influence the defendant, the individual, but it influences everybody around them. And it's really crucial that you invest the time and the energy to educate everybody so that they know what steps can be taken to keep the conflict from separating you from society, and to understand what type of conflict you're going to face later when you go into the Bureau of Prisons and you're dealing with individuals from every socioeconomic background who are going to be judging you and looking at you. And I'm talking about both prisoners as well as staff members who may be envious of the success that you have had in society, who may believe that they want to embark upon their own pursuit of judgment and make your life more difficult. So to the extent that you can understand that, you can truly position yourself for the best possible outcome. Now, we offer that through products that we offer. We offer a number of different types of products. We also offer consulting services for those individuals who want somebody to truly guide them through every area or actually do some of the work for them. Because if you have been indicted, we can help. We offer downloadable lesson plans that are available on the back end of my website at Prison Professor, or as part of a membership site at our program, a membership program that my partner Justin runs at federalprisonadvice.com, where we offer not only the courses that I wrote, but also a number of videos and podcasts and personal office hour calls that you can get with Justin to guide you through this. We offer individual courses like our reputation management course that'll help you respond to some of the challenges that you're going to face when people are Googling your name. Through Skype consulting calls, we try to really understand what you're going through. We try to understand how we can help you, and then we position you based on the experience that we have, not only of personally going through this journey, but also in counseling thousands of others. And when you have done 10,000 days, as I have as a part of the criminal justice system, you absolutely work with thousands of others. And if you do your due diligence, you will see why. So we really want to know what your pain point is, and we want to position you for the best possible outcome, because we can absolutely help. When I say we, I'm talking about myself, along with my friend and partner, Justin Paperny. He does a lot of the personal consulting. He's got a book, Lessons from Prison. I'll tell you, Justin is a graduate from University of Southern California. Was a stockbroker at UBS and Bear Stearns before prosecutors went after him. I met Justin when he was coming into prison, serving a short sentence in a minimum security camp as I was at the end of my journey. And we worked closely together. And he got out of prison about 5 years ago, I think. I think he got out in 2009. And really just started building his career as a prison consultant. And he has provided an invaluable resource to hundreds and hundreds of people, helping them as they try to navigate their way through the most difficult time in their life. So I have a lot of trust and admiration for Justin. I wouldn't be validating him if I didn't know him so well, if I didn't work side by side with him every day that he was in prison, and again, work side by side with him since my own obligation to the Bureau of Prisons concluded. So I trust him, I validate him, and I encourage you to call him. I'll provide his contact information at the end of this webinar. Now, what you need to be thinking about right now, we're going to transition a little bit into what you can be doing. If you believe that we are worthy of your attention and guidance, then understand. We encourage you to understand where you are, because you're going to have a defense attorney. We don't dispense legal advice. What we do is provide you with a different type of of product and service than your defense attorney. Your defense attorney is going to be responsible for guiding you through that judicial process during the guilty and the not guilty phase. And we really hope that you're going to be one of those individuals who succeed and are able to emerge from this experience and never having to deal with the guilty aspect of it. But unfortunately, if you do a little research, just don't take my word for it. Look at the United States Attorney's website in the Department of Justice and just Google United States Attorney's Annual Statistical Report, and you'll get more current reports. But you'll see that our government indicts more than 80,000 people every year, federal government, and they have a conviction rate of north of 90%. You see, our country makes a real commitment to mass incarceration. And if you've been indicted, there's a very good chance that you will be seeing a sentencing hearing. And that's why it's important to understand what we do. We prepare you if a guilty verdict follows. Okay, we're like insurance for you to help you understand how you can position yourself for the best outcome. And that's a lot of guidance that your defense attorney does not have the skill set to develop because he hasn't gone through it. And frankly, he doesn't know what's coming. But we do. And we want to help you. And we do that in a number of ways. Now, it's like insurance. As I said, you don't buy insurance anticipating that you're going to have a car accident, but you have it nonetheless. Well, you don't hire us because you anticipate being found guilty. But if you've been indicted, you've got to begin thinking, hey, 9 out of 10 people that the federal government indicts have a sentencing hearing. Be ready for it. So we provide a lot of services that'll help you all the way through the journey, beginning with the pre-sentence investigation. We've got, to the extent that we can talk to you before you have that pre-sentence investigation, we can really help you in the way that many of the people whom we met in prison didn't have that help. Like my friend Jeff, who was a medical doctor, was so bright. Jeff finished high school early, actually didn't even finish high school, just decided he didn't need his senior year. Instead, he enrolled in the university, got his undergraduate degree in biology, then went on to get a medical degree and a special degree in cardiology. He built a very successful practice on the Upper East Side of New York. Unfortunately, he became targeted by an ambitious prosecutor and was indicted and was eventually convicted and sentenced. Didn't understand the pre-sentence investigation. As a consequence of his not understanding that pre-sentence investigation, had some real complications when the Bureau of Prisons got a hold of him. Because he didn't have his high school education, for example, they forced him to participate in this ridiculous class for GED students. When he contested and said, I've got a medical degree, they said, well, you don't have a high school diploma or a GED, and so we're going to require you to sit in this program all day. So you end up spending all of your day reading about how Scott jumped and Jack and Jill climbed the hill and really difficult mathematical complications like 7 + 3, which can be very infuriating and frustrating when you're in prison and you're separated from the people you love and the people who love you. Pre-sentence investigation, if you understand it, you can position yourself for a better journey inside. Much more serious than that is positioning yourself for opportunities to have an early release. For example, the residential drug abuse program is the only program that exists as of today that can result in an individual having a lower sentence. And Jeff could have been able to seize the opportunity and take advantage of that and get out of jail a year earlier. But as a consequence of him not knowing about it, he failed on the pre-sentence investigation report, served longer than he had to serve. Don't let that happen to you. Make sure that you understand that's what we do in our program as we show you how to prepare. We prepare you for the sentencing hearing. Again, think of that stakeholder. Think of the judge, probably a former prosecutor. Think of that prosecutor himself, sees you as a trophy. Think of that probation officer. Think of your defense attorney. Your defense attorney is going to argue for your lower sentence, but he would do that regardless of who he's representing because that's what he's paid to do. He's an advocate, and the judge knows that. Prosecutor knows that. The only individual who has an opportunity to move the needle at that sentencing hearing is you. And that's generally the unique service that I provide. I work closely with individuals, helping them craft an effective sentencing narrative that reveals them as much more than the criminal charge. It will provide the type of insight that a judge wants to hear from a defendant, which is you identify with the victim, which is you are genuinely remorseful. What you're doing about that remorse, what you're doing about the crime, why we can be certain you'll never again be a defendant in a criminal court. So all these are very, very important tools. I provide that type of guidance by working directly with our clients. We want you to understand custody and classification. You may be a business executive like my friend Dan, who was the CEO of an oil company, who really believed that there was no way he would see the inside of a federal prison. But later, when it became more clear that he would, he really never thought he would be anywhere but a minimum security camp. Unfortunately, decisions Dan made early on in the process resulted in me meeting Dan inside of a high security prison where, along with me, he had to deal with gangs and walk through puddles of blood and deal with all the political complications. Doesn't mean you can't succeed if they're throwing you in a high security prison. An individual can succeed anywhere. An individual can overcome anything. Again, gold is tested through the fire of adversity, and you're going to be tested through this journey because we're going to, it's a reality. You're dealing with people from every socioeconomic background, and you're dealing with people who are at the lowest phase of their mental acuity. They've been so traumatized by being prosecuted that they act out in ways that are going to seem completely irrational and incomprehensible to law-abiding Americans. It's our job to help you, but also to help you get into the best possible prison rather than higher security. And that's part of the service that we provide. I want you to understand disciplinary infractions. I don't want you to get traumatized by people like my friend Sean, who didn't understand the disciplinary system. And when he went to prison, he made a 3-way phone call because why? Well, he wanted to talk to his mother. And when he got there, he didn't understand that that was a disciplinary problem, big no-no, and made that call to his wife. His wife said his mother wanted to talk with him, and he said, well, patch me through. I didn't have her number. That's why she's not on my list. Patched him through. It wasn't long thereafter that Lieutenant Unfriendly gave him a page, called the lieutenant's office, and issued him a disciplinary infraction. When Sean said he didn't know what the problem was, the guy said, well, you're not allowed to make 3-way calls. He said, I didn't know. He said, well, I'm convicting you of this offense. After the whole process, he was convicted of the offense, and he was sentenced to a term that was far worse than his actual prison sentence. He was blocked from using the phone for a year and having visits for 6 months. And for an individual who's just initially surrendering to prison, that's a very difficult sanction. And it's something that can be avoided when he tried to overcome that really unfair sanction. Lieutenant said, you should have thought of that before you violated securities laws. And they're very unsympathetic. So again, it's our job to position people so that they don't have those problems. If you work with us, you work with Justin, you are going to know everything about this system. And you're not going to have those types of problems, at least not out of a lack of awareness. So we want to help you understand administrative remedies, understand what you can do when these challenges present themselves in prison. We offer coursework on it. We provide consulting on that. We help you all the way through the journey. So transfers, really important. Sometimes you get to go from one prison to another prisoner. We want you to understand how to do it in the most successful way that works for you, whether it's a furlough transfer, so that you can spend a little time with your family, or if your security level drops, we want to help you get to the best place as soon as we possibly can. We want to help you with your education. As I told you, I got my undergraduate degree in prison, my master's degree in prison. I want to help you do that. And if that's something that interests you, we can help, but it doesn't happen by accident. You truly have to know how to overcome the incessant obstacles that will be erected by a very uncaring prison system. I want you to understand healthcare. A lot of guys who go to prison have medical issues. They don't quite know how to deal with them, what medications are going to be authorized, what types of medical procedures are available, or how to deal with the inevitable frustrations that accompany individuals who have to deal with health services in prison. There's a method to it. I can absolutely provide you with that insight, and that insight will assist you as you face those challenges. You can get that information through our program statements or through the personal consulting that Justin provides. Um, Early release. What do you know about early release? Because there's not very many opportunities for it. But to the extent that you understand the residential drug abuse program, or you understand clemency, or you understand the 2008 Second Chance Act, at least you will have a better grasp of how to navigate that journey. A lot of people think, oh, I don't have a drug problem. I can't qualify for that RDAP program. Well, I really urge you, talk to Justin before you make that assessment. Really understand everything before you listen to what your defense attorney tells you. I like to give a simple example of Sam Waksell, former CEO of ImClone. Some of you may remember Sam Waksell because he was made famous as he was the other defendant in that case made famous by Martha Stewart. Just a question. Do you think Sam Waksell is a junkie? I don't think so, but he had good advice. I know that he had good advice. And as a consequence of that good advice, he was able to walk out of prison a full year sooner. So the question for you is, how important is it to see whether you can qualify for that program? If it's important, give us a call. Justin can help you understand it a little bit better. Supervised release. What are you going to do today to position yourself for a higher level of liberty tomorrow? If you can understand that, we can help you. Okay, we definitely want to help you understand this whole process. Your new career. I don't know anything about your case, obviously, but what I do know is that you have to be thinking today about what type of livelihood you're going to have. Did you lose licenses as a consequence of your conviction? Is a Google search of your name going to make it difficult for you to earn a living? If you want to lead a life of meaning, relevance, fulfillment, then we want to help you really chart a course toward your new career. I want you to understand how violations work for people who are on supervised release and why probation officers violate people and return them to prison. We want you to understand recidivism and understand how people get trapped back, sucked back into the criminal justice system, even though they didn't commit a crime. Our nation's prison system is really exquisitely designed to keep this cycle going, not only keep people coming back, but intergenerational cycles of recidivism. So you've got to understand what you must do. And that's truly what we do, is we offer that type of guidance that you know what you must do, what steps you can take to position yourself for the best possible outcome. Understand that this is your life and you need to pursue a best practice approach to dealing with a criminal indictment. That means don't outsource everything to your defense attorney, but instead use this time to educate yourself, to understand what can you do to emerge successfully so that you don't have the types of challenges that derail so many others who have been indicted. Understand that this is your life and you must value your time. Invest the time and the energy and the resources to ensure you can get through this with your dignity intact, so that you can get through this with a full ability to resume a life of meaning and relevance. And I know that by now you've got this question on pricing. What is all of this going to cost me? Well, that's a big question because we offer so many products and services that answering that question is really going to be best for you to talk with Justin, which you can do by arranging a free call. I'll give his contact information at the end of this webinar. But I want to tell you that we offer a lot of free information. As I told you, I am the host of the Earning Freedom podcast. It's available on iTunes, where I've interviewed more than 100 individuals who have gone through the criminal justice system, and you can learn a lot from those individuals. That's a free service, costs you nothing. My only request for you is if you do have Apple, you do have an iTunes account, please subscribe to the Earning Freedom podcast with Michael Santos on iTunes. Rate and review the show, because it is through your ratings and reviews and subscriptions that iTunes expands the distribution. You can see on there that I got to number 2 on the new and noteworthy section of iTunes at one time. And really, it's my ambition to try and spread more awareness on why our nation's commitment to mass incarceration, a system that has brought you into its clutches, is the greatest social injustice of our time. And in order to spread that message, I need more people like you to rate and review the show, subscribe to the show. It's absolutely free, and you will get a depth and breadth of value from that just by subscribing and listening to the podcast. If you've got time, read these books. these books are going to give you a lot of information. The one that I would recommend for you, actually, in there, you could read Earning Freedom. That's more of an inspirational story. But what I would really recommend for you is Justin's book, Lessons from Prison. I work with him closely in preparing that manuscript, and it'll provide invaluable guidance as you navigate this course. We also, as I said, I offer these courses. These are available. I got a number of them available on my website at prisonprofessor.com. You can download them, learn a lot, educate yourself on this system. Or you could sign up to our membership site, the Blueprint, at federalprisonadvice.com. Justin runs that site. He also offers a couple of complimentary calls, office hours, for those who enroll in the membership program. They can also be a member of our private Facebook group just by enrolling in the Blueprint program. As I recall, it's $500. That price may change because we can, as we accept more people, we have to lift that price to cover our costs, hosting costs, and so forth. But I can assure you, whatever the price is today, it will never be lower. It only goes higher. So I would encourage you, visit Justin at federalprisonadvice.com and see what you need to do if you need to get that moderate priced program. We absolutely can help you. We do everything we can to solve our customers' biggest pain point. We do that primarily for those who retain us with one-on-one consulting. Justin is always available. We do that through Skype consulting calls, where you schedule an appointment. You can talk to him, tell him about your concerns. If you need more in-depth work, Justin will refer you to me, and we will work closely together. But this is really an important time of your life, and I really encourage you, if you have been indicted, know that we can help, and we want to help. That's why we give away so much free content, because we know how difficult this is for you and your family. We know that there's a lot of information that you would find value in that your defense attorney cannot provide, and we want to be there as a service for you. So please contact my friend, Justin Paperny. You can reach him by cell phone, or send him a text, or call him, 818-424-2220. That's 818-424-2220. You can reach him at jp@federalprisonadvice.com. That's Justin Paperny. You can also reach out to me directly. I'm at michael@michaelsantos.com. I get inundated with a lot of work, so if I'm a little slower in getting back to you, forgive me. You could visit our brands. Okay, I didn't do a good job on creating this slide, unfortunately, but we got prisonprofessor.com as mine, my own work, on michaelsantos.com. Justin has etikallc.com and federalprisonadvice.com, which he oversees. You've got me on Twitter at Michael G. Santos. Encourage you to follow me on Twitter. Check me out on LinkedIn. I'm linkedin.com/in/earned-freedom. iTunes, of course, is Earning Freedom with Michael Santos. And Facebook, I'm at Earned Freedom, but I'm very easy to find. That's my public page, Earned Freedom. Of course, I have a private page. But at the end of the day, I really encourage you to reach out to Justin, because he is the point person for our initial point of contact, and he is the individual who does most of our personal consulting. I can tell you, if you want to know a broad range of what that consulting costs, I would say the low end is going to be about $2,000, and it's going to go up to north of $20,000 for those who want a lot of time with me. So it's not an inexpensive proposition. Why? Because time is not inexpensive. And we are going to give you not the benefit of only our hours, but I'm going to give you the benefit of the 26 years that I served in prison, everything that I learned, and I can help you come back successfully. If that's important to you, if it's important for you to invest the time, the energy, and the resources, please call Justin Paperny today. You will find an invaluable resource. I am Michael Santos with michaelsantos.com, and I want to thank you for spending this time with me.